All right, what's going on? I wanted to do a quick little video because the podcast. I really don't like recording after night games. We go like 30 minutes after the game, and the emotions are just raw, and it sounds whiny and annoying. And that's like, we will always do the day after pods, but it's like, you don't really get to really think about stuff, and it's just emotional. And that's what happens when you like the team. But some overall thoughts I have, especially. Well, let's talk about this. The team, everything besides Jones was really good, The offensive line looked really good. Like, Thomas looked good. Jeff Schwartz had a good breakdown on the sack on the blitz. It was actually on Lemieux. But nonetheless, Lemieux looked really good. Parrott, when he played, looked good. So the offensive line looked good. The receivers were getting separation against man coverage, and there was just shots to be there, and we'll talk about that in a second. But good. Gallman was running hard on the defensive side. You can't ask for much more than that, and they did their job, but the Jones didn't. Garrett opened up the playbook, and by the way, Garrett should open up the playbook like that every single week. Doesn't mean you have the same exact game plan, but this idea of like, oh, this is why Garrett's been doing this is because he doesn't believe in Jones. Well, it's like, then you shouldn't have taken the job. That's the offense Jones needs to play in. He just needs to make those throws and not make those two dumb mistakes, and that leads us to it. If you are someone who has wanted to move off from Jones, this is your strongest evidence, is this game. This game is your strongest evidence because you had the dumb mistakes and then some missed throws. The 2-point conversion was late. It was late. I get it was pass interference, but that throw was late, and you can't be late. You can't be late on that. But at halfway point through the season, Jones has not played himself out from the Giants looking at quarterbacks in 2021. That's the reality. That's the NFL. It's bam, bam, bam. Now, a lot of comparisons have been happening to like Eli's early years. The difference is that Eli won in his second year. Now still people were crazy and wanting to move on. Like if you were, if you were old enough to remember, it's crazy to think that, it's 16 years, 15, 16 years ago at this point. But people wanted to move on from Eli. Like that, I mean, that's just a cold, hard fact. A lot of people wanted to move on from Eli. They did not like Eli. But the difference is they were winning, and they weren't in the top 5 of the draft. Like his rookie year was terrible, but after that, like they were, making the playoffs. And then in 2007, you have that run where honestly a lot of people wanted to move on from Eli and Coughlin going into that year, especially after like the game against Minnesota where he had 3 pick sixes against Darren Sharper. So I don't really like making the comparisons because it is different situations. But it is a fact that people would have wanted to move on from Eli. But Jones is not Eli. And he has more mistakes, and that's the issue. It's like he just like those 2 interceptions were so dumb. Like I get like there's times where you're gonna miss someone that's gonna open. It's just the way it goes. Like you go through your progression, you go back to your progression, and then it's like, okay, that guy's open. But like that is like we can talk about that and bring context to. But while you're being tackled, throwing that duck to the Shepard one, and then the second one with Tate, I mean, it's just frustrating. And you see like the glimpses of brilliance where like that touchdown to Tate and the one to Lewis, and there's good stuff, but it's the mistakes that keep killing him. So the hope is that he does fix those mistakes. He has 8 games. Doesn't have 8 games to prove himself, but he has 8 games left of the season to play himself out of the Giants being in a quarterback situation. You know what I'm saying? And how they still may want to, hold on. There's a good chance they still hold on to him because they're an organization. It's an investment, and I wouldn't be mad at them for that. So, anyways, I just wanted to do a quick video because I know I was very frustrated on the pod last night. It is what it is, man. 1-7 sucks. It breeds negativity. Hope the kid figures it out. I'm a believer. But if you're not a believer, you wouldn't be wrong. You wouldn't be wrong. So appreciate you guys. Let's go Big Blue. Vote for Bobby Skinner, Justin Panic. Bam.